On this episode of Delivering Marketing Joy, we talk with Caryn Kopp, who's going to teach us how to open doors to customers we want to see. Well, hey there, and welcome to another edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hassman, and joining me is a brand new guest. So excited to have Caryn Kopp. She's the Chief Door Opener at Kopp Consulting, which is a company that helps you get in to meet with those prospects and clients that you want to meet with. And I had the opportunity to listen to Caryn speak at SKU Camp here recently, and I just had to have you on. So thanks, Caryn. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So I want to jump right in. You know, getting in the door with new prospects is, it's one of the most difficult parts of the sales process, really.
Yeah.
So I know you have a company that does that, right? You opens the door with decision makers at high levels. So why is it that you were successful with door opening when many other companies struggle with it?
Yeah, so that's the big question, isn't it? I mean, if you can't get in the door, you're never going to close a sale. So you have to get in the door, and you have to get in enough new doors so that as people experience what is normal attrition through the course of the year, they can not only make up for that attrition, but grow to the levels that they really want. And all of that has to do with getting in new doors. So when people say to me they're not getting in as many doors as they think they should, I say to them there's likely a problem in one or more of 5 key planks. Okay. The first is target. If you're finding it particularly difficult to get in a door or to close a sale, likely you're spending your time on the wrong people. Mm-hmm. And when we do work with our client salespeople, we typically find that a big percentage of the people that they're spending their time targeting should never be on the list in the first place. So there's a lot of efficiency there when it comes to target. Does the person or the group of people that you're targeting feel urgency? Will they willingly pay what you want to charge for your products and services? And do they find you to be an obvious solution? So those are 3 things to think about in addition to level of decision maker, size of company, and things like that. And we dive deep there to make sure that anybody who's on the list really deserves our clients' time and attention. The second one is message. I know you talk a lot about message on your podcast, and people, what they don't know is that there's a difference between the marketing message, which was meant for lots of people, versus the sales message, which is the spoken word or the email that's meant for one person to move that person from one place in his or her thinking to the next. And if your prospects are not moving along with you through the sales process as you feel they should, there's likely a problem with what you're saying to them, the words and phrases associated. The third plank is the answers for the objections, and not just any answers, but the right answers. What is it that's going to move somebody to the next place? If you're getting shut down too often by, I already have a vendor for that, or I'm satisfied, or I'm too busy, then you probably need to say something that's more compelling and have good answers for those objections. The fourth plank is the person who's doing the work. Who is doing the work of getting in the door? Not everybody who's a great hunter is a great opener. It's a different skill set. The people who are really great at going on the meetings and closing the sales are not always the same people who are great at opening relationships with people they don't know at high levels. So if you're a salesperson listening to this, what is it about yourself? Are you an opener or are you a closer? And if you're management and you're listening to this, really be honest with yourself about who's on your team. If you need an opener but you have a closer, you're probably going to be pretty frustrated with that person, and you might need to put in some rules. Or you can consider having openers and closers, having some people who open and other people go on the meetings and close the sale. So that's just another option. And then the fifth plank of the 5 planks is the execution. How are you executing that? First of all, and probably most importantly, where people fall down, how much time are you spending on the process of getting in the door? Some people say, I'm not getting in enough doors. And I'll say, great, how much time are you spending? And they'll say, oh, I spend about an hour a week. Well, that's not enough. That's not enough. So how much time are you spending? And then how long are you sticking with it? Because if these are the right prospects for you because you did your targeting properly, don't abandon them after just a couple of calls and emails. You need to hang in there and stick with them and develop that relationship. So 5 planks: target, message, answers for objections, people who are doing the work, and the process those people are using. If you fix all 5 of those, the doors will open.
Yeah, I remember one of the things that you said just now, what stuck out with me at the presentation was the idea that there's a marketing message and a sales message. Like, I just remember just going, oh yeah, because you want to be talking to the person that you're talking to, and sometimes that's a different message and a different story. So I love that. That's really good. So how do you figure out what to say to pique the interest of that busy person, the kind of person that you want to get in, who gets all these calls and emails from your competitors? How do you pique their interest?
Right. Well, you have to ask yourself, why would they take a meeting with you? I mean, if they have a need, they have a vendor, and they're probably somewhat satisfied. And if they're somewhat satisfied, why, oh, why should they clear time on a calendar that doesn't have any time for anything else to make time for you? So you need to do your research, first of all, and find out what these people are responsible for, make sure that they're the right people, and find out what their company initiatives are, what's going on in their competitive arena, what are they trying to achieve that you can help them to achieve better with your products and services. If you can help make somebody's life better, chances are they're going to knock somebody off their calendar and make room for you. And I can tell you, I do that as the CEO of my company. Yeah. My calendar is so full. I come in on Monday morning, I look at that calendar, and I just want to cry. Like, the first thing I think about is, all right, who's on my chopping block today? Yeah. But the people who are talking to me about something that's incredibly important to me that I need to fix or change to make my personal life better, which makes my company's life better, then all of a sudden now, it's a whole different story. And I will find room for them on my calendar, and I'm not going to put it off. So ask yourself, why should somebody who already has a need and is already somewhat satisfied take a meeting with you anyway and not put it off? Start making a list of everything you can think of for that individual, and you'll come up with the reasons why you should say something to somebody that's so compelling that they'll say, you know what, you're right. I didn't think about it like that. We do need to have this conversation. And then you say, great, how's Thursday at 10?
That is so good. So good. So I love that you dug into that why, oh, why, because it's like, you're right. I mean, our calendars get so busy, and, but the moment somebody's like, no, I'm really interested in that, you do find the time. So that's super
That's
true.
Right. And one little tip as well is that once you put the meeting on the calendar for Thursday at 10 and you send the calendar invite and all of that, and you put a little agenda, what are you going to be discussing? When you go to confirm that meeting the day before, remind the prospect why he or she said yes to the meeting, because in a sea of meetings, you may not even remember who the person is. So if that person sees, okay, I have a meeting with Caryn and I took it because these 3 things were important to me, they are likely not going to knock me off the calendar that day.
Yeah, that's so good, because again, there's so many times I get on my calendar, maybe my assistant puts something on my calendar and I'm like, what the heck is this? And once it's explained to me, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. So final question for you. You've answered those 2 great. What are 2 important elements that have to do with sales that most business leaders get wrong?
Right. Well, the first goes to the person doing the work is the fact that they're hiring the wrong people for the job. And especially in the promotional products industry, but it applies to many industries, that they're looking for people who can get them in the door so that they could close new deals and increase the size of their companies. And if they need a person who does that, but they don't hire for an opener, the chances of that person being successful are slim. So you want to make sure that you identify what you want your salesperson to accomplish and then hire the right person for the job. So that is one area that people get wrong. Another area that people get wrong is that the management will often encourage sellers to abandon prospects when the relationship is in progress, just because it didn't close when management wanted it to close. But sales don't close when management wants them to close. They close when the buyer is ready. And the way that you can make sure that you're approaching people who are in better stages of readiness has to do with the targeting that we talked about at the top of the call.
Man, I talk to that about my sales team all the time. It's like our timeline and the customer's timeline are totally unrelated, and so we need to stay
That's
after
right.
them and be there when they're ready to make that decision. So that's great. Well,
Right.
you have answered my three questions. I give everybody a chance to ask me one question. Do you have one for me, Caryn?
Well, I do
Okay.
because we are filming this in December,
Yeah.
although we may air it at any time of the year.
Yeah.
And this is when people are thinking about and giving corporate gifts. So, considering this is the industry that you're in, what are the three top uh, points that you recommend people think about so that they select a corporate gift to give to either their internal people, their clients, or their partners that will accomplish what they want to accomplish by investing in a corporate gift?
Man, that's a great question, and thank you. I appreciate it. So I think most people start off with sort of budget, right? They just like, okay, I've got this much to spend, and here's how many people I need to buy for, and that's important. But I think what I kind of talk about is sort of, you've heard of the who, what, where message. I go with the who, where, what. Right. So who is sort
Oh,
of
interesting.
right. So who is the demographics? Who is, is it mostly female? Is it young? Is it old? Is it, what are they more tech savvy? Or they, who is it that you're trying to reach? That's going to narrow the
Okay.
niche of something that's an appropriate gift for who you're trying to go to. The where is, where do you want them to use it? So are they office professionals where you want to find, office and desk space? Is it on their wall? Or are you in people's homes? Do you want to be in the kitchen? Do you want to be like, so you start with who, then you go where, then you go to what, right? Like, so if you're talking about a female demographic that's tech savvy and you want them to use it in their office or in, by the pool, well, maybe a Bluetooth speaker might be a perfect gift. So like I kind of go down that path where it's who, what, where. And then I always like to say, and this is kind of the addendum, is I like to buy things that people would love, but they wouldn't necessarily buy for themselves. I think those are the best kind of gifts, and, it's like, because then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I've always kind of wanted one of those, but I've never wanted to go to Target and buy it. And so
Right.
to me, those are the kind of things that have the most lasting impressions and frankly, give you the most bang for your buck.
So, a quick follow up.
Yeah.
What time of year should people be thinking about the corporate gifts so they don't get into a situation where they're like it's an uh-oh moment that they didn't order soon enough?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a couple things. Number one, I think that we have a little bit of an appreciation gap in our culture, right? That we all know that we should say thank you more. And there's a study out there that says about 69% of your customers that leave you because of perceived indifference. So 7 out of 10 of your customers leave because they just don't think you care. And so my advice generally is to go decrease your budget, right? Everybody's going to go crazy, but decrease your budget and do quarterly thank yous. And so once a quarter, you get in front of those with the same who, where, what message. You do a little bit less expensive thing, but you're in front of them all the time, showing them appreciation. You get the opportunity to answer questions. You get the opportunity to help them with services that maybe you haven't fixed in the past. And by doing that on a regular basis, not just once a year, you don't get lost in Christmas time. So that would be my take on that.
Those are great suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Caryn, thank you so much. I know you're busy. We just talked about that, and I appreciate you taking the time. So we'll have to do it again sometime, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, well, that wraps up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.